The way some of our people have no regards, no respect whatsoever for our ancestors, it dey shock me, I swear. Like before being active online, I had no idea that there are people out there who actively put our ancestors down. People who believe they are smarter than them, people who believe that if they were the ones that were alive during the time of our ancestors, they would have done far more better than our ancestors did given the situation that they found themselves. There are people who believe that our ancestors did not fight back, that they just sat there and let all of that ish happen to them. And you find this mentality globally across the Black African community. Just take a look at this write-up that this auntie has at the top of her video. Who else is not worried about them enforcing the Jim Crow laws again? We are not our ancestors. We will F y'all up. Try us if you want. One of our sis from TikTok made a response video to this statement, and I could not have said what sis said any better than she did. So let's roll that clip.
Every time I see a post like this, I almost find it funny, because it is because of the strength of our ancestors that you think you're strong. The conditions we have today would look like a dream world to our ancestors. And that's not to insinuate that the world is perfect by any means, but the materials that exist for Black people today are why you can even envision fighting back. Though it of course should be noted, they did. Similarly to how the young woman who came on this app not too long ago and blamed Africans for not stopping slavery didn't seem to understand what colonization actually looked like, how violent and terrifying what it actually looks like to stand against an army that outweighs and outnumbers you and wants you dead or in chains. I don't think African Americans who say things like that understand what slavery or segregation in America actually looked like. There are people who have said things are just as bad today. I personally would love to see how people who say things like that would survive if the treatment of Black people in 1919 was legal again, just for a day, where accidentally entering a whites-only area as a child legally resulted in a group of white people stoning you to death, and the police showing up and joining in. Or back even further, when it was legal to feed Black children to alligators, cut Black people up and make them into furniture. Our ancestors weren't not people up. And when they weren't, it certainly wasn't because they were too composed or too pussy. The imbalance of power was insurmountable, even though eventually beaten, and it took decades of death and pain and work and tenacity and strength and courage and suffering and unity to do so. It is because our ancestors went through hell to create a world so much easier for us that you think this is what they dealt with, that this is what they had to overcome. And because of that false comparison, it is why you can scoff and say, this would be easy. Because compared to what they had, it would be. The issue is you forget how much worse what they had was, because you're lucky enough not to live it. And don't get me wrong, I believe people can mobilize and fight big systems and revolt and work together. It's clearly happened before. But I don't believe in the arrogance of a generation that didn't do that and can barely correctly unite to boycott a non-necessity product, speaking ill of those who did.
Like, it's literally what the elders in Nigeria call the Indomie Generation. They say in the Indomie Generation in Nigeria means the generation that have it soft. So it's the Indomie generation that have so much to say about how they would have done way better than our ancestors did in their time.
We insult Africans when we say that we were easy to colonize because we were called the white man's grave at some point. You know, our ancestors fought 120 years of Xhosa frontier wars just so that white people couldn't get the Cape of South Africa. Then we even had the Battle of Isandlwane. The Tuaregs, the Amazigh people fought. Then the Tanzanians fought. We have, you know, Fulani people, Hausa people, Edo people, Igbo people, Yoruba people that fought on the western part of the continent. People fought for hundreds of years, so much so that they couldn't recognize their identities beyond the fight against colonialism. Then when people were like, you know what, these white people are really here to stay. When quinine came, it changed the game. That's why Congo was actually one of the last places to be colonized, because white people would just be so disease-ridden that they would die even before conquering the land. Like nature and our spirits, they protected our continent for as long as they could. So stop.
Like sis said earlier, if they can bring back the past just for one day, I don't think the majority of us would survive that day. The reason why we are here today is because of our ancestors. They went through hell, literally fought and died so we can be here. So it's quite sad and unfortunate that we have people amongst us who belittle their experience, sacrifice and work that they put in to make sure that we are here today. It's painful really when you think about it. Like, imagine going through all of that, then in 2023 you are hearing someone talking about how they are not their ancestors, they fight back. The ancestors be rolling in their graves for real, I'm sure. That statement leaves a very bad taste in my mouth because it's disrespectful. Listen, I wholeheartedly hate that statement, but quite frankly, sometimes I cannot even help but agree with some of the people who say it. Because when I take a close look at them, I'm like, yeah, you are right. You are not your ancestors. Because our ancestors actually fought. They were warriors. We are presently not fighting. We cannot hold a candle up to our ancestors. So even though, yes, that statement leaves a bad taste in my mouth and makes me want to fight, I low-key agree with them because we cannot compare ourselves to our ancestors. Where they stood, we cannot stand.
Sometimes I used to wonder when the black man will wake up. Because I've seen people answering strong Igbo names, Okawo, Okonkwo, all these very strong Igbo names. But you see their offspring looking at, their ancestors, looking at them as demonic, looking at their practices, ancient cultural and spiritual practices. They look at all those things and, they say they are demonic. But, are you not demonic because you're still answering their surname? You're still eating the food. Look at Oha soup, look at Onubu, all these very strong food combinations that these guys were able to figure out, and we're eating them and we're enjoying it. Even the lands that some of the men even struggle for are lands that these ancient ancestors fought for, lands that they were even killed, that they bled for. And now you're enjoying that privilege, but for some reason you still think your ancestors are demonic.
I tell Africans, it can never be well with you if you do not respect the people that came before you. Not be swear. Nobody have to swear for you people, because you people swear for yourselves just fine. And you people have been cursing yourselves for years comfortably, and you wonder why your lives not the better. You curse yourself whenever you curse your ancestors. It's that simple. You wonder why your life never still better till now. It's because you have no regard for those that came before you. It's only Africans I know that don't respect their ancestors. These same Africans are K-drama addicts too. And when you watch K-drama, you see how the Koreans respect their ancestors. But on our own, now cast and bind. Every day I'm asking, what exactly did our ancestors do that make them to not deserve respect? I never still meet any of them if it answer this question for me. But from now till tomorrow, white people that we globally know have the worst ancestors still respect their ancestors. Their ancestors killed in mass worldwide, stole people's lands to make their countries, stole their properties to enrich themselves, colonized and enslaved. Nobody do pass those people. But till tomorrow, they still have sculptures, holidays to celebrate those people. But Africans, they could never. The reason why you exist today is because of those people. Yet no single acknowledgement, respect or regard, and you think it will be well with you. They play.
Barely even human.
Why is it that melanated, black, Afro people are the only ones who diss their own ancestors?
The ancestors do not exist. Those are demons that you speak to. Those are spirits.
Anybody that's dead, you are worshiping a demonic spirit.
We appreciate what our peoples did for us, but we don't worship the dead.
I feel it's important that everybody has the opportunity to speak how they feel, so no bash or hate to anybody who I just previously showed. TikTok is videos for educational purposes, entertainment, all that. They have really done a number on us. So, to say that the ancestors don't exist, and anything on the other side that you have a connection to is demonic, I guess it was wrong for us to win the Haitian Revolution for us using these demonic powers. Now, y'all know what the Day of the Dead is for Mexican people. They celebrate it by cooking food for their ancestors. Anybody who passed on, hold pictures up, light candles, and have a day to actually appreciate them. Their connection to their ancestors is good enough to be in a movie. Offering food.
Look how big she's getting.
Even Asians, they have a strong connection and foundation with their ancestors. They put the pictures up, the candle, they're offering food. They get a movie too that shows the worship of their ancestors. My point is, even in the media, in our households, we demonize everything that our ancestors did. And when they did make a movie about Afro people, they demonized voodoo. Why is it that when we connect to our ancestors, it's demonized, but any other being it gets put out into the mainstream media that it's okay.
Honestly, the disrespect has got to stop. But guys, what do you think? Let me know down below in the comment section. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.